Around the 5th generation of gaming, Nintendo was at a huge disadvantage to the PlayStation, as it opted for the cartridge format while Sony would opt for the CD-based format, which offered a whole lot more memory for developers to play around with. That's why we even got games like Resident Evil 1, 2, 3, Final Fantasy 7, and a whole lot of other games. For this reason, Nintendo lost a lot of third-party support to Sony and would need to change if it wanted to remain in the competition. So, what did Nintendo do? Well, around the 21st century, when the 6th generation of gaming was starting, Nintendo's new console, the Gamecube, would finally adopt the disc format, or it be the mini disc and not the normal disc, as they didn't want to pay for fees and such. Very typical Nintendo. And we still see it to this day with their new software, Nintendo Music, because they probably just didn't want to pair up with Spotify just to put their music there. Anyway, you know how tight-fisted they could be and how protective they are over their IPs. In 2002, Capcom would decide to make a deal with Nintendo to boost hardware sales, offering the console at the time 5 exclusives and some ports of all the games. Resident Evil 2, 3, as well as Code Veronica would find themselves ported to the platform, including newer RE titles such as Resident Evil 1 Remake and Resident Evil 0. When developing the Resident Evil Remake, the team was unsure whether the console was up to scratch, as they had a few people who actually knew the GameCube programming. So Mikami asked Nintendo for help. They was pretty shocked at the cube's power, but was still lacking, so instead of using fully 3D backgrounds, they went with what they was always good at, pre-rendered backgrounds. Since that obviously saved a lot of memory for the console, and it allowed for them to expand on the game with graphics, tweaks, and so on and so forth for gameplay. Capcom learned from this and applied the skills to their other games and continued support for the Cube. However, there was one game that kept getting delayed. This game stands as one of the greatest games to ever be made, Resident Evil 4. This game would push Capcom's team, as they would have to take all what they've learned from developing for the Cube and applying it to Resident Evil 4, resulting in this gorgeous looking game which still holds up with today. Quick side note, this game would also be fully rendered in 3D and not using pre-rendered backgrounds like the other RE games. Even after all this effort poured into the GameCube, it was still sadly fall short to the PlayStation 2 and the Xbox. Yeah, Capcom would port these games to the PlayStation 2 and other platforms down the line. Now, even with this sad turn of events, the deal didn't exactly bring a halt to Capcom and Nintendo's relationship. No, actually, Capcom would still support Nintendo even after this with the Wii, DS, 3DS, Wii U, and Switch. You can actually see this with Monster Hunter Rise being made and developed for the Nintendo Switch, and for a while it was actually exclusive for it. Now obviously you could find it on pretty much any other platform, but at the time it was just strictly only on Switch, which is bold considering the exclusivity deal that they had in the 21st century. But obviously, he actually popped off and has sold pretty decently well for Capcom. So I guess in the end, they just kind of learned how to deal with it and just wanted probably a small little success from the Nintendo Switch. By all the information that we have come and collected today, we could obviously assume that Capcom will continue this support for Nintendo for the Switch 2 or whatever it's going to be called. The other exclusives games like probably, I don't know, another Monster Hunter Rise type game, or maybe a Resident Evil game like the one that got cancelled apparently, which was Resident Evil Revelations 3. That game apparently was meant to be the third entry made specifically for the Nintendo Switch, but again, that's just rumors, so I can't really say if this is actually true, but we probably will see something like that down the line, as, you know, Capcom clearly has a great relationship with Nintendo to this day. Well, with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Be sure to click the like button, subscribe, share this with your family and friends, and I also want to mention something which I will be continuing to mention this in future videos, and that is my subscriber goal. The subscriber goal for this channel is 100 subs, hopefully maybe by the end of the year, as long as I continue. If not, it'll probably lead to next year. But if we can, please help me out, help the channel out, and get this channel to 100 subs. Keep staying awesome. Peace.